You're listening to Worshipology with Kurtis Parks, a biblical, practical, and spiritual conversation about living and leading worship. Visit kurtisparks.com to learn more and check out Kurtis's books and latest resources for your worship team. Worshipology is a part of the Worship Leader Magazine podcast network. Worship Leader Magazine has a heart to equip spirit-led worship leaders with practical tools, theological insight, and encouragement for the local church. Today's episode is brought to you by PraiseCharts. Whatever resources you're looking for on the latest songs in today's worship music, PraiseCharts has you ready to go. Whether you need chord charts, lead sheets, or full orchestrations, everything is formatted for your team and available for instant download. Stay current, save time, and lead with confidence. Check out PraiseCharts.com today and get your hands on the freshest songs for Sunday. Now, lean into today's episode of Worshipology with Kurtis Parks.
Well, hey, thanks so much for listening to the Worshipology podcast. This is a biblical, practical, spiritual conversation about living and leading worship, and really excited for today's conversation with the man, the myth, the legend, Wes Schrock. Say what's up, brother.
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Dude, am I saying that right? Wes Schrock?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It's such a cool last name. What's like the ethnicity or origins of that last name? Because I've never heard anybody with it.
I think it's Scottish, but I'm not 100%
nice.
sure.
That's amazing. Well, we were just talking before I hit record. Wes and I met 2012, was it? 2012?
Way back in the day.
Man, so we're like homies, man. And we just kind of, now we're on different coasts. Wes is in the West Coast, and we're here in Richmond, Virginia. But dude, Wes, just for our listeners, man, share a little bit of your story. How did you get started, like leading worship? Yes, but songwriting and music and all of the things that you're now involved in, bro.
Yeah, first off, thanks for having me on. I'm so pumped to be here. And, I've been a fan of you from afar for a long time, since we met in 2012. I was a little kid running around and just like admiring all you're doing. And so it's a real honor. Yeah, I mean, I remember being probably in fourth grade, and I really wanted a drum set for Christmas. And my parents were like, absolutely not. That's not happening. They got me a guitar instead and got me some lessons at a local shop down the street. And I walk into the first lesson, and the guy teaching was this older gentleman. His name's Herb. I would just go in every week on Thursdays at like 6:30 p.m. and he would teach me how to play acoustic. And it ended up being Herb Chapman, which is Stephen Curtis Chapman's dad.
What?
Had this little guitar shop in Paducah, Kentucky, where I grew up.
Wow.
And so he was the first person to be like, Wes, like people write songs, and I think you should try it. I was probably sixth grade at this time, but
wow.
So that's what opened my mind up to, songs come from somewhere. And so someone must have written them. So he was the first person to be like, just kind of nudge me in that direction.
Not a bad guitar teacher, by the way.
Not a bad guitar teacher. And I don't do him any justice.
I feel like that needs to be a book, man, like Thursdays with Herb.
Thursdays with
by
Herb.
By Wes Schrock. Let's go.
What a legend. And I don't do him any justice because I am not that great at guitar. I'm like, I got the chords down, but he was
That's all you need, man.
Unbelievable. Obviously, Steven is one of the best guitar players. Incredible. But on the leading worship front, I remember I was in fifth grade. My parents would have these like youth nights on like Thursday nights, like a youth Bible study. And so like all the middle schoolers would come over, middle schoolers and high schoolers.
Wow.
And I remember standing on my front lawn, and the youth pastor at the time, his name's Danny Donato, and we're just chatting, and he was like, so you're taking guitar lessons? And I was like, yeah, I'm like enjoying it. He's like, do you sing too? I was like, not really. And he goes, well, you should think about trying to sing. We could, you could lead worship at youth. And
wow.
And I was definitely against it. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Grew up, started going to youth, and then I started playing acoustic and on the team. You know how it goes.
Yep.
And show up one Wednesday night, and the seniors who had led worship before had all graduated.
Wow.
And I walk in thinking I'm just going to play acoustic tonight. And they're like, so Wes, you're going to lead tonight. And, and it was awful, dude. It was terrible. But for some reason I kept going back to torture myself, I guess. I don't know.
Do you remember the first song you ever led?
I'm sure it was, I remember like the handful of like songs that I started leading worship with, but it was like How He Loves was in there.
So good.
Like a Lion.
Hey.
Majesty.
And is this still in the Paducah, Kentucky area?
Yeah, this is still in Paducah, Kentucky.
Nice.
So, started leading worship in church when I was in middle school.
Wow.
Did it every week, but it was always kind of a hobby. I was all in 100% on soccer. I was obsessed, and the Lord opened up a lot of doors in my life at a really young age through that. So I was in like 7th and 8th grade. I played a little bit in Costa Rica. Then I played a little bit in England. And so it was like my world was kind of opening up in that area. So it was like I love serving the Lord and playing acoustic, leading worship every once in a while as kind of a hobby. This way I can serve the church. Mm-hmm. But I was going to do soccer. Like that was my life.
Okay.
And I was playing at a tournament in Dallas, and these coaches came up to me and was like, hey, so we coach a boarding school in Minnesota, and we feel like you'd be a great fit for our school.
Wow.
We think you should check it out. And so the opportunity came to go visit, and my parents were like, we don't want you to leave. I was 15 at the time.
Wow.
But they were so supportive, and they were like, if this is a dream you have and you've worked hard, and if this is what you want to do, we'll support you. It was a scholarship, so I'd be able to go. And I was like, man, 15, I get to go to Hogwarts. Like, I'm in.
I was going to say, dude, you've got some real guts at 15 to just leave everything, go to a place that you don't know to play soccer.
Dream,
that's wild.
If you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Spend the night with your best friends every night.
True.
So it was an interesting experience. You go to school with your team, you eat with your team, you work out with your team, you sleep in the same dorms as your team. So it was an amazing experience.
Wow.
Anyways, I'm so long-winded, but that's
that gets you to Minnesota.
Minnesota. Yeah.
So what's this next chapter look like when you're there?
There was I loved the local church even when I was really young. So I knew as soon as I got there, okay, I'm going to find a local church to get plugged into. We were traveling a bunch for soccer. So it was like whenever I was in town, I'd join. And there was a church across the street, and I was like, great, I'll just go there. Started going there on Wednesday nights, and the youth pastor at the time was leading worship and preaching.
Okay.
And so I went to him, his name was Steven, and I was like, hey, Steven, whenever we're in town, like I used to do this at my church back home in Kentucky. I can help out every once in a while. And he could not get it off his plate fast enough. He was like, please take it, schedule it, do the whole thing.
Wow.
And I was like, I didn't mean like that.
Yeah.
I was like, I could help out every once in a while.
Pause.
So
that's cool.
Kind of fell into that. I would go to church on Wednesday nights a bit earlier before the band got there and just like spend time writing.
Wow.
Because I just love to write songs. And there was this church ended up being a multi-site church, which I didn't even realize at the beginning because youth group was so siloed, but it was like part of this bigger church called River Valley.
Wow.
Amazing church. And there was an intern coming down from the main campus at the time every Wednesday night to help with the worship and everything.
Yeah.
So I get there, I was playing one of the songs I wrote. She walked in, her name's Taylor Erickson, and she sat down and was like, hey, can you play me that song you just wrote? Like, I want to hear it.
Wow.
So I played it for her, and apparently she had like recorded me underneath the table without me knowing. And
Love it.
Ended up showing it to Ryan, who's the worship pastor at River Valley. And I got a call from Ryan like 2 weeks later. It's like, hey, can I take you out to lunch? Like, would love to chat with you. Anyways, Ryan invites me to come intern at the church.
Love it.
And I'm pretty sure that summer, between my junior and senior year of high school, I interned at the church, and I think that's when I met you for the first time, 2012.
Wow. You're dating me right now, but I remember doing that project. I remember Ryan and Clayton, and it seemed like there was here's what I'll say about that first time I connected with Ryan is that he never traveled alone. He would always come. It was like the posse, the gang from River Valley, and Kurt Graham, Clinton Allen, Wes, you were with him. And it just seemed to me like, and obviously, fast forwarding years down the road, and River Valley's had songs that have done really well. Ryan's done great as a songwriter and artist, and still good friends with him. It's very cool that like community was always at the center of how they wrote, how they released, how they traveled, how they do everything. So you're a part of that. You're a teenager and you're kind of getting into this world. Is soccer still kind of on the fringes for you, or what does that look like, Wes?
So probably shortly after I met you, I was at summer camp with River Valley, and I just felt like the Lord say, no, I'm not. I'd always thought like, okay, I'm going to do soccer. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to use that platform, to like preach the gospel and serve the church. And I felt the Lord say, no, I'm not asking you someday. I'm asking you like right now. Wow. Like, and so I remember going back home from that camp and calling my parents and being like, hey, I feel like this is what the Lord's doing. I think I'm supposed to like lay down soccer and really pursue, worship and church and songwriting and that kind of thing. Wow. And they were like, we'll let you know. We'll pray about it and then we'll let you know.
Okay. Yeah.
And they prayed about it for a week, came back and we were like, yeah, we feel peace from the Lord about it. We'll call your school and let them know. And I was there on scholarship. So if I wasn't playing soccer, I'd have to like move in with a family in Minnesota if I wanted to stay in Minnesota or move back home. Wow. And my parents called the school and they were like, hey, so Wes is not going to, do soccer anymore. And the school was like, oh, we're so bummed. But we are opening up a brand new vocal performance program this year. And we'll give him the same scholarship to like be a part of that if he wants to.
No way.
And so that was like the first immediate confirmation that I feel like that was like a gift from the Lord. Wow. When you step out, especially, it's like, I think this is right, but I'm not sure. Like, I feel like I heard you, God, but like, I don't know. And to have that kind of confirmation felt like from God was so reassuring in my faith journey of like, okay, I can step out when I feel like God's speaking. So, yeah. So
how long was this period then? Because I know obviously, as you're stepping into the worship world with River Valley, does it start as an intern? Does it start as like you're coming on staff? And what does that journey with that particular church look like?
Yeah. So I started as an intern this summer after my junior year of high school. Okay. And I was still leading at that same little campus out by my school. Wow. And senior year of high school, they had offered the worship leader position to a couple different people for this campus. Everyone turned it down because it was kind of like, it was like 45 minutes away from everything else. It was kind of like the campus way off in the distance, and no one wanted to drive out there. And so no one took it. And then I guess leadership was like, well, we have this kid who's like there all the time. Like, we should just let him do it. So
a young David, if you will.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what it felt like. It's like, it was really bizarre, to be honest, because I was way too young to be a worship leader at a church. So I was 17 at the time and came on part-time staff. Wow. And did that for a couple years, continued to lead worship there through my freshman year of college. I went to a school in Minneapolis called North Central for a year, and then came on full-time at the church after that. And then I jumped to like Liberty Online. Nice. School was a big thing for my parents. My parents were like, you gotta go, gotta finish college. So I did that whole thing. And so my journey at River Valley was a long one. I think I was at probably 4 or 5 different campuses.
Wow.
over my time there.
Now let's talk a little bit about the multi-site structure, because I think River Valley would probably be one of the, churches, especially within the Assemblies of God family, but even beyond that, where it's kind of like they got a lot of people that are looking to them about how they structure, how they do things, how they have leadership, and everything in between. With your particular role, were you bouncing in between campuses? Were you at one campus the whole time, or was it like, what was that like? What was that like?
The way we had it structured was each campus had a worship leader. That was that was your campus. That's where you're at. Sometimes we would all kind of roll through our Apple Valley location, which was for lack of a better
broadcast
term,
campus,
kind of broadcast central.
Yeah.
And that would be on Saturday nights, but then on Sundays we'd all be at our campuses.
Wow.
And it was really special to feel like you're like linking arms with these other worship leaders, and you're all kind of like running in the same direction together, encouraging each other, learning from each other. I mean, that's where I met Clinton and Ryan, Evan, all these guys that were so close to me for so long. And it felt like I wasn't doing it alone, which I can assume that if I'm at a single site church, it would just feel like I'm on an island a little bit if I didn't seek out those other people in my city. Yeah, it was like built in at River Valley. So that's what's special to me about like the multi-site thing is like there's so much to learn from everyone around you who are in similar spaces.
Mm-hmm. Are you guys having like weekly meetings where you guys all kind of get into the same room and just talk vision, strategy? What's the weekend look like? All that stuff?
Yeah, it varied over the years. I was there for 10 years. The best times were when we would meet every Monday. So all the worship leaders would get together and there would be like maybe a teaching or a thought, some like recap of the weekend.
Yeah.
But honestly, the best part of that time was just to stay connected.
Wow.
And to just grow relationship there. Yeah. Because it's easy at a big place for things to just kind of drift,
Wow.
And so those meetings kept us aligned, even from things like, heart for sure, direction that we're headed as a church, obviously, but even things like taste and vibe of like what songs we're doing. And it felt so natural. We never had like, hey, these are the songs you got to pick from.
Okay. I was going to ask that. Like, are you guys all doing the same songs or every campus is kind of doing their thing or what does that look like?
Because of that meeting, we are all doing the same songs.
Gotcha.
But it was never like, hey, these are the only songs you can do. If I wanted to do a new song, I'd be like, hey, Ryan, what do you think of this song? I'm thinking about introducing it. Wow. And I guess if he wanted to veto something, he could. I mean, he was the worship pastor, and that never really happened. It was so tied to relationship that it felt like it was just really natural. I don't know how else to explain it. It was a special.
Let me pause you there because I think that's such a key thing especially in church world, and every church is different. Every staff role has differences in it, but talk to us a little bit because, that's something that's so important is you're serving on a staff, or maybe if you're listening, you're in a volunteer worship role, the relationship that you have with other people that are in the trenches with you, whether it's at that church or in your community, in your city, whatever that looks like. How important is that, Wes, and not just getting the job done, but doing it almost with a brotherhood? And I know there's sisters involved in that too. Like, how important did relationship in worship play a role in your formation and even to where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's everything, to be honest. Wow. Like, when people feel that you care genuinely for them, they're way more willing to go on the journey with you. Versus like, hey, we're just here to get a job done. People can feel that whether you say it like that or not. If your approach is like that, people feel that. Yeah. For me, I was so young when I started that those relationships formed me as a young worship pastor, young worship leader. How do I lead people who are older than me? I'm showing up to church and just feeling like I don't have a lot to add to what's happening here. And those relationships are what formed me as a young worship pastor, and tools to use, going back to scripture, the great equalizer, you share scripture. No one can argue with that. It's like,
true.
We can all get on board. So it's like stuff like that.
Would you say that there was kind of like a Paul Timothy thing that you had with Ryan and some of the older worship leaders that you had there on staff at River Valley?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Ryan was real intentional, especially at the beginning, of bringing me along, giving me opportunity and space to fail too.
Wow, that's good.
He would, ask me to we started doing kids projects. So the very first thing he ever, as far as songwriting goes, had me be involved in was this kids project. It's and he gave me the easiest layup ever, because he basically wrote this entire song. Great song, great kid song, and then was like, "Hey, can you write the verse to this song?"
Okay.
And it was already a great song, and so
low hanging fruit.
Can't really miss.
That's awesome.
So he was good at that, and but those Monday meetings, honestly, that's what fed my soul, and that's how I grew in character, knowledge, all that in regards to leading worship. Because I was 17, and there were worship leaders in that room way more experienced than me, way more brilliant. I was just learning every week.
Let me ask you this, because at 17, and that is so young to be stepping into not just church world, but a massive church like River Valley, multiple campuses, very influential church. I remember my maturity level at 17 and all the things that I was, chasing after. Definitely not worship leader or worship pastor material, but obviously they saw something in you. Talk to us a little bit about what that's like, the benefits of starting young, and then maybe the challenges of starting young too, when you're kind of placed in that environment that is very high output. I mean, you guys are traveling, you're doing conferences, you're putting out records. So what's kind of like that? Yeah. Like starting young in church world, what the ups and downs, valleys and mountains.
The first thing I think of as far as the benefit is you're a bit fearless. You're not jaded. You're not, you don't have the guardrails of years and years of ministry and what's worked before and what hasn't worked.
That's really good.
You're just like, this feels right. So I'm just going to do
Let's go.
And I think that's a really good thing. I think that's why, classic, the wave always starts in the student section. Like there's something always happening in the young people that changes the game. So I think, it's the church is its most beautiful when young people are speaking into it. And just as much as when when you get the whole thing and people are adding value where they can, that's when the church is its most beautiful. So I think young people ministry is an amazing thing.
Wow. It's interesting that you say that, Wes, because I just saw an article that Pew and Barna put out. That was basically like, and it kind of flips it on its head from 7 years ago to now, where Gen Z is now the most represented generation in the church.
That's insane. Because I feel like for years I would hear, youth ministry, and it was like, young people are leaving the church.
Yep.
And it's amazing. I mean, I think it's so good. And challenges about being young and in ministry. It's easy to fall into, when you're, insecurity creeps in a bit more easy, I think. And, the tendency to perform versus serve, I think creeps in. And,
draw that separation for us a little bit, because that's really good, Wes. The tendency to perform versus the desire to serve.
Mm-hmm.
What are the biggest mentalities and the differences there? And then how can you be more intentional on making sure you're serving rather than performing?
I'll do my best.
That's really
I'll do
good.
my best.
Yeah.
But I think at least for me, when I fall into performance, it's when I'm leading, I look out and I think, okay, my emotional state is dependent on how the room's responding.
Wow.
And I think if I ever start feeling like that, I'm like, oh man, maybe I've drifted into performance and just like trying to evoke an emotion.
Yeah.
And, it's, after you lead worship or do a session and you step off platform and, someone comes up to you and is like, hey man, that was awesome. Like
right.
that really moved me. Then you're like dopamine spikes. And it's like, you don't have that regulation of like, this is, it's good to hear. It's nice, but it's not why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
When you're performing, it's like you live and die on those kind of responses from people.
Wow.
And, it was a good weekend in church if you're getting feedback. And I think it's, in a high River Valley was an amazing place with great feedback culture.
Yeah.
But also with that, you can fall into like, okay, this is getting good response to this. And,
wow.
And it's like, okay, I'm structuring my worship set to get that feedback versus serving is I'm thinking about people. I'm thinking about individuals. I'm thinking about how can I help people connect with the living God. Wow. And when people have real revelation, their only response is worship. Like that's your only response. So it's, and this is, I think it's something we all battle with all the time. It's like, I was leading worship at church 2 weekends ago and I got done with the first service and I felt a little defeated.
Wow.
And I'm like, why do I feel defeated? Because I feel like it's on me to have the room respond and look a certain way. And I just got to reset. And it's like, no, my only goal is to minister to the Lord and to his people. And did that happen? Yeah, that happened. So we're doing our job.
That's really good, Wes.
I don't know.
I think you're right. We all battle with that because, and I've been leading worship 25 years. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing this.
Yeah.
You don't really ever conquer that. And I think it keeps you dependent on the Holy Spirit when you're leading. And wow, that's incredible, man. All right. So I want to fast forward this a little bit. So you 10 years at River Valley, incredible run there.
River Valley.
How do you get to what you're doing right now, putting out records? For all intents and purposes, you're living an artist life in California. You put out a great record, Humanness. We're going to put a link in the show notes, so make sure you check that out. I was listening yesterday. Phenomenal production, great songwriting. How do you get from worship staff role to now artist? What does that journey look like?
Yes. Well, I was at River Valley for 10 years, and I ended up getting fired from River Valley. And it broke me, dude.
Wow.
Like, it was a complicated time in the church. This was after 2020. And so there was just so many dynamics at play at church, and ended up getting fired over something that felt like a disagreement. It felt like, I was just, at the time I was like, really, this is after this long. And, I look back now and I just realized the Lord took me out of there. Wow. And, I don't know if I missed his voice at some point along the road, and I just got I think when I look back at it, Kurtis, I'm like, I think I was more loyal to the place, more loyal to my friends, more loyal to the house than I was to Jesus. And that twisted things, I don't know how else to explain it other than I didn't want to go. And the Lord was like, no, you're going.
Wow.
You're done. And after that, I was I just didn't know if I could do anything else. Like, I'm like, am I good at anything else? I didn't want to I didn't want to just go to another church, put my resume out like it's the NBA draft out here. It's like, it's too holy. It's too sacred. And so unless the Lord wants me somewhere else, I'm just going to figure out how to make a garden right here, wherever I'm at.
Dude, I have to pause you. You just said something that I think is a huge challenge to every worship leader listening, is that, I mean, the grass is always greener.
For sure.
So whether you're in an amazing season or if you're in a tough season and you're just thinking, I think I could do this somewhere else. I think I'd be more appreciated somewhere. I think this would be easier somewhere else. Worship leading is not the NBA draft. I love that you just made that analogy, because it just kind of, I never heard that before. And, you know, that's a big maturing moment where you're like, I'm not just going to put my resume out there and see what bites. I'm going to wait. I'm going to pause and make a garden here. Pick up there, man, because that's so good. I just had to affirm that right there.
Thanks. I just think ministry is different. Like, it can be your career, but it's different than just like, hey, I'm an accountant or an attorney, or all those things are great. But it should carry a different level of weight, in my opinion. Yeah. When you're talking about vocational ministry, you better be sure. Like, and I just wasn't in a place where I was like ready to jump in somewhere else. And I didn't want to do it if it wasn't God, because, you know, at the end of my time at River Valley, I felt so hurt and so betrayed, and had so many things that I needed to bring to the Lord and work through. Because I still adore River Valley and love River Valley. I got really hurt by a couple people who, fast forward, we've reconciled, went through the process of healing, and we'll get into that. But I was just trying to figure out how to survive at that point. Wow. And so my wife had a couple cameras around, so I went to YouTube University and just like learned how to shoot video, and just tried to start shooting video. Did that for about a year. Put down songwriting. Like, I thought the music thing was done, dude. Wow. I was like, okay, I guess I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but and I remember, you know, I was just kind of doing my thing, video thing, just trying to make a living. And I just started hearing the Lord whisper to my heart, like, what changed?
Dude.
And I was, you know, I'm like, what do you mean? What changed? Like, why'd you stop writing songs? Why'd you stop putting out music? And I had tied this thing so close to a specific, you know, thing that I was a part of. And the Lord was like, yeah, what changed? Wow. So that kind of opened my heart up again to writing, and ended up working on a new project that brought a ton of healing. I think God really used this project that I put out. It's called Humanness, to work on do some real surgery on my heart. Yeah. And so started working on this project with all the people at River Valley, and people who had moved on from River Valley at the time, and started writing songs. Long story short, I rented a cabin by the lake in Minnesota, and
such an artist thing to do, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I've done it too, and there's nothing like it, man. Nothing, you just get away.
And invited, 20, 25 people in, and we took the weekend and recorded 7 songs.
Wow.
Shot video of it and everything. And it was, the project's called Humanness, and it's all based on Colossians 3.
Okay.
And Colossians 3 talks about putting on the new self. And, it begins about like, set your mind on things above. And the next paragraph down, it says, these things that you should put to death in your life, like, immorality, covetousness, all those things. And then like the next paragraph is like, these are the things you should put on. Wow. And it's like, kindness, humility, a beautiful picture of the church. And then right in the middle of that paragraph says, we forgive because we've been forgiven. Wow. And that hit me so hard because I hadn't fully gone on that forgiveness journey. And writing these songs with the people that I did this project with, it was like the Lord creating new history. Wow. Creating new history with these people, creating new history with the Lord. And it just mended my heart through the whole process. And It's like, how can I not forgive? Wow. Like, out of all of us, I'm the worst. How can I not forgive when God's forgiven me of so much? So that was, we got together, and the tendency for people to, when people kind of go separate ways and they've had a shared experience, when you get back together, if they've had a negative shared experience and they get back together, you start going around the same carousel of like the same conversations, the same hurts, the same disappointments. And what was special about this weekend, this project, was that we all got back together and created something new and created a new experience. And we didn't get back on that carousel of hurts. Wow. And it was like, it's really healing for me, but I think for the whole crew there, it was really a healing time and special time.
That's amazing.
So I'm glad you liked the project, but like it did everything that needed to happen. It happened in that cabin over those 3 days.
Wow. So God literally used your journey of songwriting to bring about forgiveness and healing, which I think there's something so beautiful in that. For anyone listening who is a songwriter, for anyone listening who is, whether you're leading worship or you're an artist and you're bringing music into the world, knowing that it can be a platform and a tool to bring healing. Mm-hmm. I mean, and part of my journey, even I haven't thought about this in a long time, Wes, but like 2007, I just graduated Virginia Tech when the shootings happened on campus, which at that time was the worst school shooting ever in the history of America. And I didn't know how to respond other than to write a song that I was like, I'm nobody, I'm nothing, but here's what I've got. And we recorded this song in our storage unit, our band. We sent it to a local radio station that we had just done an interview with. Song blows up.
Wow.
This is the MySpace era where, and we were used to getting like 30 plays a day. Yes. We started getting 50,000, 100,000 plays a day. Wow. The song just goes on this journey. It's called Forever Changed. And in my music life, that was probably one of the highlights, I have to say, because it really showed me that music and songwriting is a gift from God to help the human heart heal.
Yeah.
And you just sharing that literally just brought back a flood of emotions, and I haven't even thought about that in a long time, but that's amazing, man, that you were able to get to that place and in community with the very people that you had walked through the season of pain with, man, you know, and just keep going down that, because the record is great. And so how long ago was that the songwriting happened, you released it, and now it's out?
Yeah. So the songwriting happened like early 2023.
Okay.
I think if that's right. Early 2023, we recorded November 4th was the first day of recording in 2023. Wow. And it was fall time in Minnesota. It's like the best time in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because my wife got an opportunity out in LA.
Okay.
And so we had moved to LA October. So a month before we had moved to LA, started building this new life together. And then we flew back at the beginning of November back to Minnesota to record this thing.
Wow.
And then it's been a long process since then to, you know how it goes, you know, how music goes. It always takes so much longer than you think it should. And
always.
And I was in the middle of that process. I was frustrated to go back. We finally released the full project this past month. So it's been like a year and a half, 2 years in the making.
Wow.
And I was frustrated during that time because I felt like, man, I'm catching a little bit of momentum. I need to get these things out while, you know, I have people's attention. I had posted a couple things on Instagram that did well. And so I was like, okay, I need to capitalize on this. And I just feel like the Lord was like, nope, you need a little more time.
Wow.
You need a little more time. And so over the last 2 years, things would creep up. You know, you think you're over something, and then, you know, something, your heart just gives a little twinge, and it's like, oh, I didn't realize that was still there. Lord, work that out in me. Work that out in me.
Wow.
And so I think I needed the whole time. And so when we finally released this project, released it at the beginning of September, that's when I started leading worship in church again. Like I hadn't led worship in church for years.
Wow.
And we go to a beautiful church here called Oasis. It's amazing. And
I've heard of it.
Just started, you know, I'm up once a month now leading worship again. And it's been good for my soul. It's also been like every time I get the Planning Center invite, a little like thing happens in my heart. And I'm like, wow, why is that there? Why is that still there?
Wow.
And I think the real goal this side of heaven is like, how can we allow everything that happens to us, everything, all the mistakes we make, you know, how can we allow all of it to make our heart softer and not make it harder? And because, you know, it's real easy to go through life and get a hard heart after, you know, relationships are messy, people are messy, you're messy. Like it's like it's just bound to happen. So how can we allow all those things to cumulative make us softer and kinder and sweeter? And that's just how I want to live. But
that's amazing.
Yeah, dude. So it was a long process. A lot of healing happened.
Yeah.
And I think to your point about making art, the world needs your art.
Yeah.
To anyone who's listening, the world needs your art. I don't care if you feel like you're nobody or no one's going to listen. It's going to mean something to someone. And art sews up wounds, and art heals. And I think that's why God created it. It brings healing, and that's why we create to help bring healing and bring life and bring goodness in a world that desperately needs it. And so the world needs your art. Make art.
Man, I was just having this conversation last week with a songwriter and talking about, you know, this whole revolution of AI and the songs coming out that AI is writing. And but he's a guy that works in the industry in Nashville. He's not a songwriter, he's a producer, but he was just like, you know, because I'm in the middle of and hearing how long it took you to release Humanness, that in itself is also a class, because I think so many people want to release as quick as it comes and like, okay, we got it mastered, let's put it out now, like with no plan, with no letting it breathe, coming up with at least, you know, not just strategy for marketing's sake, but like, what are you going to do with this? You know, like, why are you releasing it? What's your motivation? What's your heart behind it all? And so anyway, I've got an instrumental. I've been doing mostly instrumental stuff the last 4 or 5 years. Cool. I've got an instrumental project, and it's just kind of in the waiting. But I was talking to this guy in Nashville, and he's like, man, we need real artists creating real art, because the moment that AI overconsumes in that space, culture's lost. The heart of humanity is gone, because culture is crafted by the artists. It just is, whether that's songwriters, whether that's musicians, whether that's you're painting, you're sculpting, whatever it is. I mean, we look back on past civilizations and it's the art that tells the story.
That's so true.
And we cannot lose that in this day and age. And what I love about your record, man, is it really does tell a story. And hearing the heart of Colossians 3 behind it all, it makes so much sense. And as we're coming to the close of our time, I want to ask one question, but I'm gonna wait on that. What's the song from the record that to you is like, dude, if I've got 3 to 5 minutes of your heart, you need to listen to this song right here?
Yeah, it's Fight to Be First.
Fight to Be First.
Fight to Be First. I think for me, that song in particular, I think encapsulates the project and the heart behind the project. And the whole idea is wanting to see people the way Jesus sees people. The song starts and it's like, I fight to be first to receive all the grace that we're assured through the cross. And the flip at the end is like, but Lord, help me fight to be first to see people the way you see people, to love people the way you love people. Wow. I help that to be like my knee-jerk response versus what I can get.
Wow.
And it's really special to me because Ryan's on that song, and Ryan's been a part of my journey since the very beginning. He's an older brother. So that song means the world to me. Wow. And it also represents the project really, really well. Wow. Fight to be first.
And we don't do this often on this podcast, but would you be all right with us doing a send off with a little snippet of that song so people can get a glimpse of the record, man?
Yeah, for sure.
That'd be awesome. Well, hey, one more question for you. And I almost feel like this has been answered throughout this chat, but just kind of like focusing in here on this particular question I love asking every artist, every pastor, every worship leader that comes on. What's the Holy Spirit speaking to you right now in your prayer time, as you're opening scripture, in your moments with the Lord? What's the Spirit just been whispering to you, Wes?
That's a great question. For me particularly, it's this phrase of it's time to say yes again.
Wow.
And the Lord's, I think that looks like a lot of different things for me personally, but saying in particular, saying yes to the body of Christ, saying yes to the local church, saying yes to being submitted.
Wow.
Saying yes to leading worship again, to serving in that capacity. All those things like do a funny thing in my heart. And that's how I know, okay, I'm on the right track, because there's something, why is that like that? Why do I feel that way?
Yeah.
And it's my responsibility to go to the Lord and figure that out. Because if that doesn't get sorted out, then the heart becomes harder and harder.
Wow.
So that's the simple word he's been speaking to me. It's time to say yes again.
Wow.
And I don't know what that looks like practically. I really have no desire to be back full-time staff at a church somewhere. Mm-hmm. But I do have a love for the local church, and I will serve, the house, whether I'm on staff or not. It's like, that's part of what the Lord's called me to. I don't know, man. That's kind of what he's been speaking to me personally. That's really good. And there's some hard yeses in there. Not every yes is easy. But I appreciate your vulnerability on the podcast, man. I think a lot of people are going to be encouraged and inspired, but also challenged by your journey and how you haven't let everything that's happened harden your heart. I think in these days where you just see so many hard hearts and angry people, and it's so important to keep your heart soft, but a thick skin. Like, have a thick skin, but have a soft heart. It's not one or the other. And I can see that in your songs. I can see that in our conversation. And Wes, dude, thank you so much for just spending some time with us and sharing your heart on Worshipology, bro. Thanks, Kurtis. Thanks for having me. All right, y'all, check out Fight to Be First off of Wes's album, Humanness.
try and do it my way. Forgive me for all I've done in your name that were counterfeits of your grace. I fight to be first to receive all the grace you assured. I find it so hard to forgive when I'm misunderstood. Help me to love just like you love me. Help me to see just like you see me. Help me respond with all your patience like you did for me. Believe me, never meant to be the one who's causing all the issues. Do you believe me? 'Cause swore that it was your truth. How'd I ever miss you? I place all the proof at your feet to show you I'm for you. Then when faced with my pride, I deny all the glory I see. Help me to love just like you love me. Help me to see just like you see me. Help me respond with all your patience like you did for me. Lord, I forgive 'cause you forgave me. Lord, I let go. I know you're for me. Help me today, lay my life down like you did for me. Only I fall, break my heart in two to see people like you. I've a divine for break my heart in two to see people like you. I've a divine for break my heart in two to see people like you. I've a divine for break my heart in two to see people like you. I've had 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 to see people like you do. Help me to love just like you love me. Help me to see just like.
You've been listening to Worshipology with Kurtis Parks. Visit kurtisparks.com to learn more and check out Kurtis's books and resources for worship leaders and teams. Worshipology is part of the Worship Leader Magazine podcast network, brought to you by Worship Leader Magazine. Today's episode was sponsored by PraiseCharts. Visit praisecharts.com and get everything you need for your worship team today.